The laugh. Before the shock, Varel stood tall in the grand hall of the Galactic Council. She was proud, confident, and beautiful in the way warriors from Zarnax were. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes bright yellow, and her muscles tight under her armor. She had fought and defeated many alien species. To her, humans were just soft, weak, and emotional creatures. She had read about them. She had watched their old battles. In her mind, they were no match for the warriors of Zarnax. Today she had one simple job: test the strength of a human soldier. A single human was brought forward from Earth as part of a peaceful military exchange program. His name was Jace Morgan. He stood in the center of the room, calm and silent. He wore no armor, no weapons, just a simple Earth military uniform. His hair was dark, his eyes cold, but his expression didn't show fear. It showed something strange, like he was waiting. The council members, seated high above, watched closely. They were curious too. Could a human really stand against a warrior of Zarnax? Varel stepped forward and laughed. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "So this is the famous human warrior?" she said with a smirk. "I expected more." Jace said nothing. Varel cracked her knuckles and turned to the council. "Permission to test his body strength directly?" The lead counselor nodded. "Proceed, but no killing." Varel smiled wide. This would be quick and easy. She faced Jace, raised her fist and warned, "Try not to cry." Then, without any more words, she punched him, hard, straight in the chest. The sound echoed like thunder, but the reaction was not what anyone expected. Jace didn't move, not an inch. He didn't grunt, he didn't even blink. Varel, on the other hand, gasped in pain. Her fist stayed pressed against his body, but her fingers bent at a strange angle. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. She pulled her hand back quickly and looked at it. Broken. Completely broken. Her knuckles were smashed. Her skin was cut. Blood dripped from her fingers. She stared at Jace in disbelief. He looked at her, finally speaking. "I told them not to let you do that." Varel took a step back, breathing heavily. The room was silent. The council didn't move. Every eye was locked on the human. What are you?" Varel whispered. Jace didn't answer. He just turned to the council and said, "Test complete." The council murmured among themselves. No one could understand what just happened. A human had taken a full-strength punch from a Zarnax elite warrior and didn't flinch. It was impossible. It was insane. But it had happened, right in front of them. Varel was holding her hand, shocked and humiliated. She had never lost a fight. Never. And now, in 1 second, she was the joke. But more than that, something deep inside her had changed. She no longer saw Jace as weak. No, now he seemed like a mountain. A mystery. Something unshakable. And it made her angry. Curious. And, in a strange way, excited. The other council members whispered among themselves. One of the older members leaned forward and said, "Earth has been hiding something." Jace didn't smile. He didn't show pride. He just stood there like a statue made of steel. Varel looked at him again, this time with eyes that didn't see a weak man, but something dangerous, something powerful, something she wanted to understand, and maybe one day defeat. But in her heart she already knew. This human was different, and she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. A body. Forged by fire long before the galaxy knew his name, Jace Morgan lived a quiet life on Earth. He wasn't born powerful. He wasn't a legend. He was just a boy who grew up watching the sky burn. When Jace was 13, Earth was attacked. No one expected it. Alien raiders from the outer belts swept down like shadows, destroying cities and stealing resources. Jace watched from a bunker as his home collapsed and his parents disappeared in the flames. That day, something inside him died. But something else was born. A promise. A promise that he would never be weak again. After the war, the Earth government launched a secret program, Only a few knew about it. They called it Project Steel Corps. It was not for ordinary soldiers. It was for the broken, the brave, the ones with nothing left to lose. Jace volunteered at 16. He was the youngest recruit. The doctors warned him. The procedure would change him forever. His bones would be reinforced with carbon fiber, his muscles layered with nanosteel, his nerves linked with shock-absorbing circuits. His body would become unbreakable. But his pain? That would remain human. The process nearly killed him. Many others did die. But Jace didn't stop. He pushed through fire, through blood, through nights of screaming silence. He trained harder than anyone. He fought machines, gravity, storms, anything they threw at him. And when it was over, the scientists didn't recognize him. He had become something new. Not a robot, not a mutant, a weapon, hidden behind a human face. Years passed. The galaxy slowly forgot Earth's pain. But Jace never forgot. While the rest of the universe laughed at humanity's small size and peaceful nature, Earth quietly built warriors like him, silent, steady, waiting. When the Galactic Council invited Earth to send one soldier for peace relations, Earth didn't send its loudest. It didn't send its fastest. It sent Jace. The Council had no idea what kind of human they were welcoming, and neither did Varel. As she nursed her broken hand in her private chambers, her mind couldn't stop thinking about the moment of impact. His chest hadn't moved. It hadn't even felt like flesh. It was like hitting a wall of living steel. But his eyes, they were still human. Calm. Cold. Powerful. She accessed her ship's database and searched Earth's military files. Most of it was blocked, classified. But one line caught her eye. Steel Corps units. Status terminated. Result: one survivor. One survivor. Her eyes widened. It was him. Suddenly, everything made sense, and nothing did. Why would Earth hide someone like that? Why send him to a peaceful council meeting? And more importantly, what else was Earth hiding at Unsut? That very moment, Jace sat alone staring at the stars. He knew the punch was just the beginning. These aliens still didn't respect Earth. They still thought humans were soft. But soon, they would learn. Earth wasn't weak. It had just been quiet for too long. And now, the galaxy had woken up something it couldn't control. Varel's humiliation. Turns to obsession. Varel had never felt this way before. Not after a battle, not after defeat, and certainly not after facing a human. Her pride was shattered, but her curiosity burned brighter than ever. The pain in her hand was real, but it was nothing compared to the storm inside her mind. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, calm, unreadable, dangerous. On Zarnax, warriors who lost were mocked or ignored. But this felt different. She didn't lose because she was weak. She lost because she never knew such strength could exist in a human body. Jace hadn't just blocked her attack. He had ended her illusion with silence. She needed answers. She began, watching him from afar, quietly, carefully. Every movement he made, every step he took was precise. He walked like a soldier but carried himself like a shadow. He didn't talk much. He didn't brag. He didn't even acknowledge the whispers that now followed him everywhere through the council halls. Other warriors laughed behind his back until they saw what had happened to Varel's hand. Now, no one laughed. But that only made her more restless. She had to know, how could someone so silent hold such terrifying power? She requested another test, a rematch in private, but the council refused. Earth had already proved its point, they said. The humans had sent their best, and the galaxy had taken notice. Still, Varel couldn't let it go. She tried to challenge him in the training arena, but Jace never accepted. He said one thing only. "You're not ready." Not ready. That word rang in her ears like a cruel joke. No one told Varel she wasn't ready. No one dared. So she followed him, She trailed him through corridors, watched him study alien technology, observed his strange silence as others spoke of alliances and treaties. He wasn't interested in politics. He was watching something else. Something deeper. Late one night, Varel caught him near the council vaults. He stood facing a security panel, hands behind his back. She stepped out from the shadows. "You're not just here to shake hands, are you?" she said. Jace turned, not surprised to see her. "I didn't come for war, if that's what you're asking." "Then what are you looking for?" Jace didn't answer right away. He just stared at her, like he was measuring her again, not as a fighter, but as someone who might understand. "I'm looking for a lie," he said finally. "A lie?" Jace nodded. "Earth believes someone is building something dangerous hidden under the council's nose, and I think they're right." Varel blinked. "You think my people are building weapons?" "I think someone is," he said. "Not just Zarnax. Others too. Earth stopped fighting a long time ago, but we didn't stop watching." Varel felt her chest tighten. She had heard rumors of secret labs, of factions growing inside the council, but nothing proven. And yet, the look in Jace's eyes told her he wasn't guessing. He knew. "What will you do if you find it?" she asked. "Stop it," Jace said, voice steady. "Or die trying." Varel should have walked away, should have reported him. But instead, she said, "Then you'll need help." Jace raised an eyebrow. "You offering?" She nodded once, her voice low. "Not for Earth, not for peace, for me. I need to know what you are. Why you didn't scream. Why I couldn't break you." A moment passed. Then Jace turned back to the hallway. "Suit yourself." From that moment, they were no longer enemies, or at least not simple ones. Something unspoken passed between them. A new bond, not of trust but of purpose. Varel had started with hate. Now she was walking into shadows. Not because she was forced, but because the only way to understand Jace Morgan was to stand beside him. Jace's secret mission. The council thought Jace was just a symbol of peace, a gesture, a quiet reminder that Earth wanted friendship. But that was only half the truth. Jace wasn't here to speak. He was here to search. Buried deep in Earth's encrypted transmissions was a warning. Signals intercepted from distant colonies hinted at a terrifying secret. Someone within the Galactic Council was building weapons outlawed for centuries. Not just bombs or fleets, planet killers, machines that could erase entire worlds. Earth, quiet for 1,000 years, couldn't ignore this. And so, they didn't send diplomats. They sent him. Jace moved like a ghost inside the alien capital. He memorized the schedules, marked guard patrols, and quietly bypassed security doors meant to stop anyone but the Council's inner circle. He never left traces. No cameras caught his steps. No alarms were triggered, but he wasn't alone anymore. Varel followed close behind, her injured hand now covered with high-grade Zarnaxian biosteel. She moved quietly, her instincts sharp. She hadn't told anyone she was working with him. She didn't need to. Her pride wouldn't let her walk away. Not until she found out why a human had bones like metal and eyes like ice. Jace led her to a locked chamber far below the council tower. The door was marked as a power control room, but the temperature near it was too cold, the hum too loud. Something was hidden inside. Something not right. "This is it," he whispered. "How do you know?" she asked. He pulled a small chip from his pocket, a stolen map from a hidden council database. Because Earth has eyes where no one looks anymore. With quiet precision, Jace bypassed the door lock. The panel hissed, lights blinked, and the door slid open. What they saw inside didn't look like energy storage. It looked like war. Rows of sleek machines lined the chamber, each one humming with strange energy. Transparent tubes held weapons glowing in colors neither of them could name. Floating cores spun in place, surrounded by alien script warning of unstable fusion. It wasn't just a lab. It was a factory, hidden in plain sight. Varel stepped forward slowly. This isn't Zarnax tech," No, Jace replied. It's a mix of designs. Zarnax, Thule, even some Earth fragments. Someone is building weapons from every race. Quietly. Illegally. She turned to him, voice tense. Why? The galaxy has been at peace for a millennium. Peace breeds fear, Jace said. And fear breeds plans. Before they could explore further, a sharp buzz sliced through the air. Security lasers lit up. Motion detectors blinked. They'd triggered something. Jace grabbed Varel's arm and pulled her behind a pillar, just as the main doors slammed shut. A mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Unauthorized access detected. Defense sequence activated. Metal drones dropped from the ceiling like spiders, eyes glowing red. Jace cracked his neck and sighed. So much for being quiet. Varel drew her blade, eyes wide. You planned for this? Jace didn't answer. He just stepped forward as the first drone attacked, faster than a bullet, sharper than a blade. It hit his chest and bounced off. The drone spun mid-air, confused, before Jace caught it with one hand and crushed it like paper. Varel froze. Your skin, she whispered. It really is metal. No, Jace replied, eyes locked on the next wave. It's stronger. He moved like lightning, tearing through drones without a weapon. His body didn't just endure damage, it absorbed the energy and redirected it. He was a one-man army designed for survival in the worst conditions. Varel jumped into the fight, cutting down 2 drones as more dropped. She had fought beside her own kind for years, but never like this. Jace didn't dodge. He advanced, and with each drone that fell, she felt the fear she once had for him turn into something more powerful. Respect. When the last drone hit the floor, silence returned. Varel panted, blood dripping from a cut on her cheek. That was a trap. Jace nodded. And now we know something else. What? They expected someone to find this. He looked at the walls. Small cameras blinked in the corners. They wanted to see how strong I was. Varel's heart pounded. Someone had set the trap. For him. The forbidden lab. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Not just in temperature, but in feeling. The tunnels under the council city were ancient. Some even forgotten by the current generation of leaders. Maps didn't show these halls. Lights flickered as if the place itself didn't want to be seen. But Jace and Varel pressed forward. The door they found at the end was unlike the others. Thick, sealed with old alien runes and reinforced with rare metals. Varel stared at the symbols, her voice tight. This isn't council property. Jace studied the runes. No, it's older than the council. With quiet effort, he placed his hand on the access panel. It scanned his pulse, but nothing happened. Then Varel stepped forward, placing her injured hand next to his. The door beeped once, then opened. The room beyond wasn't a lab, it was a tomb. A massive chamber stretched out in front of them, filled with stasis pods, tubes, and dark machines, humming softly. Inside the pods were creatures neither of them could name, some part machine, part living tissue, their bodies glowing with unstable energy. These weren't test subjects. They were prototypes. Jace stepped closer. This isn't just a lab. It's a breeding ground for weapons. Varel moved slowly, her fingers brushing over the glass of one pod. Inside, a creature twitched. Not dead, sleeping, or worse, waiting. Why build these? She whispered. To fight a war that hasn't started yet, Jace said. Or maybe, to start one. On a far wall, Jace found a data console. He plugged in a translator chip from Earth. The screen lit up with red warnings. Biotech soldiers. Phase 4 nearly complete. Species blending successful. Human core strength confirmed. Varel's eyes widened. They used human DNA? Jace nodded. They're copying my kind, testing how far human strength can go, then twisting it into monsters. The screen shifted, revealing project logs. Dozens of names filled the list. Zarnaxian leaders, council advisors, rogue Earth scientists. One name made Varel stumble backward. Her brother. Commander Vesk. she whispered. He's part of this? Jace's face hardened. He's not just part of it, he's leading it. Before Varel could respond, sirens blared through the lab. Lights turned red. Locks slammed behind them. A deep voice echoed from hidden speakers. You were warned, sister, the voice growled. The council gave you glory, and you chose to shame it with a human. Varel's eyes flashed with rage. Vesk, what have you done? I've done what our people were too afraid to do. Prepare. His voice was full of fire. The galaxy is sleeping. We will wake it, and you will be erased with the rest of the cowards. Jace turned toward the door as figures emerged, warriors enhanced with the same biotech he had just seen. Their eyes glowed. Their skin sparked with artificial power. But it wasn't refined, it was unstable, wrong. Hybrids, Jace muttered. Unfinished, but still deadly. Varel drew her blade again. We fight together. No, Jace said, stepping forward. You warn the council. I'll hold them off. I don't run. I'm not asking you to run, he said. I'm asking you to survive. But before she could argue, the hybrids charged. Jace met them head-on. Metal clashed. Sparks flew. His fists shattered bone. His body took blast after blast, but didn't fall. Varel turned, hesitated, then sprinted back the way they came, her heart torn between loyalty and survival. As she ran through the dark halls, alarms screaming above her, one truth screamed louder in her mind. This war had already begun. The great betrayal. The council hall was in chaos. Varel stormed in, bruised, breathless, and covered in ash from the tunnels below. The guards at the chamber doors shouted, but she ignored them. Her voice boomed through the chamber louder than any command. There is a secret lab under your city, and my brother is behind it. Silence hit the chamber like a thunderclap. High counselors glanced at one another, their faces pale. Some looked surprised, others looked guilty. Varel stood tall, pain in her hand forgotten. Biotech soldiers, hybrids built from stolen DNA, human DNA. You've all been lied to. A counselor stood. These are serious claims, Varel. Do you have proof? She held out a small drive. Extracted from the console, project logs, signatures, locations. They took the data, and the council began to argue among themselves. But one counselor, a tall, narrow-eyed Thulian, stared hard at her and said nothing. Varel knew that stare. He knew. And if he knew, then this betrayal was bigger than just her brother. Back in the tunnels, Jace was surrounded. His uniform was torn. Metal showed beneath the fabric, cut and bruised but not broken. Around him lay the wreckage of hybrid soldiers, their bodies twitching, cores unstable. He had won the fight. For now. But his chest burned. Not from the fight, but from what he had seen. They weren't building a weapon. They were building an army. As he limped toward the surface, a familiar voice echoed through the remaining speakers in the lab. Vesk, you fought well, human, but this isn't over. You and my sister were never meant to leave alive. Jace looked up at the camera. I didn't come here to die. I came here to expose you. And now you've exposed her too, Vesk said coldly. When this reaches the council, she'll be named a traitor. You've doomed her. Jace paused. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. Back at the council chamber, the vote was cast. Varel, once celebrated, was now accused of treason. Not for the lab discovery, but for keeping it secret, for working with an outsider, and for endangering peace. She was given two choices: public exile or execution. Varel stood silent as the council guards approached. She looked around the room, then said one name softly. Jace. As if on cue, the chamber doors slammed. Open smoke rolled in. Sparks flew, and then he walked in. Jace's uniform was scorched. His fists were bruised, but he was alive. And when the guards tried to stop him, he didn't raise a weapon. He raised the truth. He threw the second drive onto the council floor, security footage, full recordings of the hybrid assault, and one final log entry from Vesk himself. The room went silent again as the truth burned across every screen. A human had not brought chaos. The chaos was already here, and the only ones who tried to stop it were now being hunted. The council turned in panic. Counselors screamed. Allies became strangers. The betrayal had cracked the very floor they stood on, and in the middle of it all stood Varel. No longer a proud warrior of Zarnax, no longer a loyal daughter of the council. She was something else now. Beside her stood Jace, silent as ever. But his presence said it all. She wasn't alone. She looked at him and said, "So what now?" Jace nodded toward the exit. "Now, we disappear. Until it's time to come back with more than truth." They turned and vanished into the smoke. Behind them, the council fell into confusion, divided and afraid. Ahead of them lay a galaxy too, blind to see the war rising beneath its feet. But two fugitives now held its only chance. His abs of steel, her heart of fire, they became ghosts. Jace and Varel vanished from the council world, their names erased from records, their images labeled as traitors. But while the galaxy hunted them in silence, the truth they carried could not be buried. Every system they passed through, every hidden base they uncovered, brought them closer to the full scale of what was coming. The weapon labs weren't just under one city. They were everywhere. Dozens of rogue leaders, council insiders, generals, scientists, had joined Vesk in secret. They believed peace made the galaxy weak. They feared the return of old enemies, and they wanted to strike first, no matter the cost. But they didn't count on two things. One, that the most advanced hybrid soldier they had ever created was still unfinished. Two, that a broken warrior and a steel-bodied human would stand against them. On the icy planet of Karthus, inside a dead research bunker, Jace and Varel made their final stand. Vesk himself arrived wearing the prototype exocore built from stolen human muscle tissue and Zarnaxian blood. He was taller now, stronger, faster. He believed himself invincible. He wasn't. The moment he saw Jace, Vesk laughed. "You were built to survive. I was built to conquer." Jace replied coldly, "You were built on stolen pieces. I was forged by pain." The fight shook the frozen ground. Each blow cracked the walls. Varel fought beside Jace, her blade dancing, her wounds ignored. Together they moved like one. Not just warrior and weapon, but something more. Two souls united by betrayal, pain, and something deeper neither dared name. In the final moment, Jace took Vesk's strongest hit, a strike meant to crush bone, and stood tall, unshaken. Vesk stared in disbelief. "Why won't you fall?" Jace's voice was calm. "Because someone's watching." Behind him, Varel's sword pierced Vesk's side. Sparks flew, circuits fried. The hybrid suit screamed. The commander dropped to his knees. "Zarnax, we'll never forgive you," he gasped. Varel leaned in close. Then Zarnax must learn what forgiveness truly means. With one final surge of power, she ended him. Silence fell. Outside the bunker, rebel ships began to flee. The network of labs exposed. The hybrid program collapsed. And somewhere far above, a signal was sent to Earth. A simple message. Mission complete. Weeks later, in a quiet zone of space, a new vessel hovered near a human research outpost. Inside, Jay stood at the window watching stars drift by. Varel joined him, now wearing light Earth armor, not as a guest, but as a soldier. "So," she said with a faint smile, "am I still not ready?" Jace looked at her, the faintest grin tugging at his lips. "You were always ready. You just didn't know who you really were yet." "And who am I?" He turned to her. "My partner." She reached for his hand, this time not in challenge, but in trust. A warrior once full of pride, a soldier once full of silence. Now, walking, side by side into a future neither could predict, but both would face together. Steel and fire. Unbreakable. Unstoppable. United.